of sidewalks in two-point perspective. One of the first things that we're going to need to do is define a place for our horizon line. I'm going to define my horizon line very high up in the picture plane today so that I have a lot of working space down here. So let's start by drawing our horizon line way up high. There we go. One of the other things that I want to emphasize is the placement of our vanishing points. It's really important to make certain that your vanishing points are at the very, very edge of your picture plane. And actually, in a lot of the cases when I do this, I will put them way outside of the picture plane so it feels more accurate. But for today, we're going to do this. There are two diagonal lines that we're going to start dealing with. The first ones we're going to draw from our left vanishing point are going to define the edges of our sidewalk. So my first one, I am going to draw it and have it come off about midway on the right side of my picture plane. The next one, I'm going to keep falling off of the side of my picture plane. I could drop it off of the bottom. I could draw it to the corner, but I want to emphasize that the corner of the picture plane is just the corner of the picture plane. It has nothing to do with perspective. For this example, I find that keeping it on the side of the picture plane, although in the image there, it looks like it's falling off the bottom. Let me back up a little bit here. Oh, there we go. There we go. So the picture plane actually ends a little further down. So what we're going to do here now is define the cracks in the sidewalk. So our first crack in the sidewalk is going to be very close to the edge of the picture plane. And it almost looks like it's a vertical line, but it's really a diagonal line that goes to my left vanishing point. And it's contained within the top and the bottom diagonal. So we've got our right, did I say left? This is our right vanishing point, and this is our left vanishing point. The second crack in the sidewalk, the one that's going to move a little bit more to the left, I want to have it be about the same, distance from this corner as this line is tall. So I'm going to measure this out with my hand. I can't quite stretch far enough. And I'm going to put a quick little mark here to define that. So this is a working line. That's kind of a little mark I've made there. And now, lining up with my right vanishing point, I am going to draw that in just like that. So those are the first few things that we've got. Those are the last decisions that you get to make on your own free accord. That is entirely up to you. I could make this shorter, I could make it longer, but for the explanation, it seems to work really well like this. Take a moment, go ahead and pause me, make sure you've got your diagonals in there. Make sure you've got your diagonals going to your right vanishing point there, and when you're ready, and you've checked your work against mine, and your neighbors if you're working in a group, come on back and we'll go from there. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to find perspective center. And so perspective center is found by drawing two working lines, and these are working lines because they're going to be erased eventually. So these working lines are going to be drawn from this corner to this corner. This is how we find perspective center. We draw lines corner to corner. And then I'm also going to draw a line from this corner to this corner. Now, as you draw more and more, you're going to find that you don't need to draw the whole line through, but just smaller lines. So here's my X, marks the spot. From here, I am going to draw a line, a working line, all the way to my left vanishing point to define perspective center throughout the entire length of the sidewalk. So go ahead and do that. Find yourself perspective center and find your perspective center working line all the way through. Pause it here, check my work, check your work, check your neighbor's work, phone a friend, see how they're doing. One thing I want to emphasize, and I forgot to emphasize this, is to draw very lightly. All of our working lines, because we're going to be erasing them, draw them, lightly. Okay, so draw them lightly. These next steps, unfortunately, this next step is where I sometimes lose people. I have lost people on the perspective center part, but patience is important here. Now, what I want you to do is put your finger down here on this bottom corner. This corner, let's circle that. My circle is just for demonstration purposes. From this, I want you to line your ruler up with this perspective center mark. So as you cut through this crack in the sidewalk with your perspective center working line, we're going to line up here to here, and where it intersects your top diagonal, just like this, put a small mark. That's a working line. This mark tells us where our next crack in the sidewalk is going to be. So now that you have that, go ahead and line up with your, which vanishing point? The right vanishing point. Line up with this vanishing point and gently, I suppose you could do it energetically, draw that line in. So now we have our next crack in the sidewalk. And then the process repeats. Let me do it one more time. This time I'll use red. So now we're moving up a square. Circle that one just for instructional purposes when you're doing this on your own. If you understand, you don't have to do the circles. So you're going to line up with this corner. Now with this line through this perspective center line through your second crack in the sidewalk. And then using your ruler, you're going to line up, corner, line through crack in the sidewalk, make a working line mark. And now, wrong marker, we're going to, from our right vanishing point, do that through like that. And then this process repeats, it repeats all the way back until you no longer can see the sidewalk squares. I'll do one more very quickly. So I'm moving up a line through the crack in the sidewalk with that perspective center mark, using my ruler, check it there, working line, just a little tiny mark. Again, taking from my right vanishing point and taking my ruler, I'm going to draw that line, and there we go. So go ahead, if you haven't been doing this through the process, go ahead and make those marks. Remember that bottom corner through that perspective center where it crosses over your crack in your sidewalk? Make your mark. Go ahead and do that. Pause here, check against mine, check against your neighbor's. Well, while you were paused, I made a few more marks. I made a couple more cracks in my sidewalk, and they go continually back in space. The last thing I want to do is, in my neighborhood, in the cities that I live and work and walk through, generally my sidewalks, well actually in my subdivision the sidewalk is flat with the grass, but that's a different story. If I were in a city, I would probably do what from the street to the sidewalk? I would probably step up. So I've got a couple more things I want to share with you. The first thing is we're going to create a curb. We're going to create a height here. So from my left vanishing point, I am going to draw another diagonal line. This time I'm going to make it a skinnier, or I'm not skinnier, but it's going to be closer to the bottom here. And for illustrative purposes, I'm going to make it kind of big. So I'm going to draw this line in. So this is where the sidewalk meets my street. Oh, stay on the ruler. There we go. And now from each of these corners, I'm going to draw a vertical line straight up and down until I bump into that last bottom diagonal. And this is going to give it the appearance of stepping up. Now my sidewalk doesn't go on forever, and it wouldn't. I can't see all of the lines all the way back to my vanishing point on the right hand, so the left hand side over here. I can't see it all the way back. I could continue drawing, but at some point my eyesight's not going to let me see that. Okay, so we've got these vertical lines drawn in. Now, because we live in the age we do, and it's really important to make all of our sidewalks accessible for everybody, including me, skateboarder. No, not really. I'm going to build a ramp right here. And this is, I'm going to break a rule. I'm going to draw a diagonal line that doesn't go to my vanishing point, but I am going to draw a diagonal line from this corner. Let's see, what haven't I used? I'm going to draw a diagonal line from this bottom corner, and I'm just going to choose a point somewhere on that crack in the sidewalk. I'm going to draw a line. This is a diagonal. Right there. Oh, that's so awful. Right there. There we go. That's better. I'm going to erase that top edge of my curve all the way down until my next corner. And then I am going to, from this little dot, I am going to draw in another straight line to show that it ramps up. Now, if I wanted to, I could create a crosswalk. Some people, when I've taught this, have no clue what a crosswalk is. That surprises me. So this is detailed stuff now. This is me getting putsy. But from here, I can, with my right vanishing point in mind, create a crosswalk. This would also work if you had a sidewalk coming out from the front of a door, maybe, from the front of your house. You could have a crosswalk in there. Now I can get putsy and put all the other lines in this crosswalk, but I'm not going to. So there is your sidewalk. We use a lot of rules. We use perspective center quite a bit. We use a lot of working lines, and we do a lot of geometry. This is a lot of math in how we work our angle. So thanks to the Renaissance artists of Italy for inventing this, and thank you for your time. Remember, you can rewind me, you can pause me, you can fast forward me. Please share me around the world. I've gotten a lot of really good emails from you all, and I appreciate that. So take some time, go ahead, rewind this, 2-point perspective. Sidewalks. Bye.